I'm not saying you've been around, Mr. Cuthbert, but you've seen a few things. Is this one rank up there with some of the craziest that you've, like just all the things that we have seen to get to where we are after 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, because it is only 4 games, and we've had 9-6, so we've had atmosphere like I'm not sure I've experienced in both buildings in a playoff series.
Really?
It is off the charts. It really is. I know Bob Nicholson compared it to the 2010 Olympic gold medal game, which is the greatest environment I thought I'd ever be in. I still think it's the loudest building I've ever been in, but to even have the comparable, I think is just it's just an indication of how great the buildings are. Even the craziness of last night with the goal that Mike Smith lets in, and the fact that they are able to bounce back from it. There's a lot of stuff happening, and there's still a lot more I think we're going to see.
So you're saying, like, listen, I was cutting highlights at the Score during those runs in 04 and 06. Like, you're saying that it's loud? Because I mean, I remember those days like it was yesterday, and those, I mean, they'd get on a goalie and the whole place would ring out in both of those plays. You're saying it's louder than it was in those 2 runs?
It does seem to be. You know, I did 91. I thought 91 was as good a series as I've ever called, and this environment is it seems like it's better than that. Maybe recency bias, but it's I don't know how it gets better.
It says a lot, and it's awesome because you can kind of feel it through the TV, and you wonder, like, where are we at on this meter? And to hear you say that sounds awesome. All right, so what surprised you the most through 4 games of this series?
I guess that Jacob Markstrom looked like he was going to be one of the biggest edges Calgary would have in the series, and he hasn't been, so that's been a surprise. I think that we thought Calgary's depth was a reason why they were installed as the favorites coming in. And I think that beyond the amazing play of the Stars for Edmonton, after the first game, I think the depth players of Edmonton have been just as good and maybe even better. So those are a couple of surprises, but I'm prepared to be surprised in the next couple of games as well, or maybe even 3 games.
So let's break down a little bit of the depth here for Edmonton. Nice little shuffle from Jay Woodcroft as he gets Yamamoto on the Nugent-Hopkins line. That pays off. Nugent-Hopkins has a wonderful game. And going into the series, I thought there was a real interesting contrast between the 2 coaches. You've got a rookie brought up in the middle of the season against the wiliest of wily veterans in Daryl Sutter. I know in non-COVID times you would normally get time to hang out with both of these guys and maybe shoot the breeze a little bit. But what's been your interaction, or have you noticed that contrast in talking to the 2? Because it looks like the kid's doing okay so far.
Yeah, the kid's doing fine. The old veteran's pretty good himself, too, and we do get to meet with him each time. And Daryl's obviously, he's straight to the point, and he doesn't give us a lot of those metaphors. Jay's pretty good with that, and he talks about moving the chess pieces around, and I did think that was a very key chess piece move with Yamamoto going on that line late. So it's my first experience with Jay Woodcroft, and I found it really interesting. He is a guy that's paid his dues and has obviously learned from some of the best in the business. He started under Mike Babcock and then with Todd McClellan, and now he's really, I think, establishing his own identity as a coach, and he's a pretty good chess player.
Speaking of pretty good players, Connor McDavid has been jaw-dropping in this series. He's been astonishing. We were talking about watching in 91. Like, where has this run from McDavid kind of ranked in the pantheon of what you've seen in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I've always hated comparing current players to the star players of the past, and as soon as you bring up Wayne Gretzky in the same sentence as Connor McDavid, you're getting into dangerous territory. But I'm not sure how you don't do it with what we are watching. I mean, he had 2 assists last night, and it was probably the least impact he's had on a game. And I'm not saying he didn't have an impact, because he has an impact on every shift. but he is right now just playing beyond anybody else. And you asked me about Daryl Sutter. I'm amazed at how often Daryl has referenced how good Connor McDavid is in this series. He is not hiding it, and I think everybody's trying to figure out, how do you stop this guy right now? Because nobody seems to have an answer.
It's funny because every time I brought up Mario or Wayne's name in the last few days, I've thrown the exact same caveat that I didn't think we would ever get to this point, but we are official. Like, I mean, if you put the numbers up against, you're looking at the first since Mario, the first since maybe Jaromir Jagr, the first since Gretzky. Like, I didn't think like we would even get to points where you would bring them up statistically, but that's where we're at here. Like that's how legendary it is.
Now, how far can they go? They may only have 2 or 3 more games if they don't get by Calgary, but they might go on an extended run here. And he's over halfway to the record of Wayne Gretzky for most points in a playoff year. So, and he's putting up 2 or 3 a night. It's amazing. I guess it's 10 multi-point games in the last 11. I like Kevin Lowe's idea of maybe not comparing him to Gretzky or Lemieux or he mentioned Michael Jordan, and maybe that's a safer way to go right now.
Yeah, we did that here too. In fact, we did the Last Dance analogy for he took the Austin Matthews Heart Talk personally, and maybe he's taking that out on the Kings and the Flames. So one more from the atmosphere point of view, because I thought when Rasmus Andersson beat Mike Smith from 132 feet that it felt like you could hear a pin drop in that building, and it almost felt like it could be a series defining moment. And the composure the Oilers showed, was that surprising to you at all?
I think it tells you we might be into a new age with this team, because you're right. There was a kind of that audible gasp and oh no, here we go again kind of sense. But I think as an observer, you're saying, here comes Calgary. They've not only tied it, but they're going to take advantage of this huge opportunity, and the series, which looked like it was automatically going to be 3-1 after the first period, was suddenly looking like it was going to go back to Calgary tied. So I think that might be a sign that it's a different Oiler team, that they were able to overcome that. Mike Smith seemed to be able to bounce back, and easy to laugh about it if you post a win after it was all over. But I was reflecting on 20 years ago when Dan Cloutier let one in from center against Nick Lidstrom, and in the back of my mind in that series, I thought, man, Vancouver's going to beat Detroit. And then when that shot went in, the whole series changed. And fortunately for the Oilers, the whole series did not change with that goal last night.
We were talking about Daryl Sutter coming back from 3-0 down with the Los Angeles Kings against the San Jose Sharks. In your mind, what has to go right for Calgary to start making this comeback?
Well, I think they need Jacob Markstrom at his best. They need the top line to be like they were during the regular season, when you could make a pretty good case they were the best line in the NHL. Daryl was pretty simple yesterday. He said, just win a road game. And they still, if they win their home game, still just need to win a road game. In his mind, prior to that game, the biggest difference in the series was Zach Hyman's shorthanded goal, 3-3 in Game 2, that gave the Oilers, that valuable road win that has given Edmonton home ice advantage. So I'm sure his mantra going into game number 5 is just win a home game and let's get back to Edmonton and we'll take care of the road game there.